So GoPro used to be the big dog of action cameras, like the best you could get. And up until about 6 months ago, I was on the same boat. Especially since flying FPV, I mean, like the GoPro quality is so good and the sound you get from the drone is just so crisp. And at the time, I had a GoPro Hero 12, but one thing that I noticed is that there was so much hate going around with GoPro. And honestly, I didn't really understand it. Like, I get that they're maybe not as innovative as a company as like Insta360, but their video is good. And I thought their units and their cameras were awesome. That is until about 6 months ago, and it all started to make sense. So it started because I crashed my drone. So I ended up cracking the back of the screen, which is a pretty common occurrence when it comes to FPV, because when you crash upside down, all the force kind of like centers on the battery, which ends up going to the back of the GoPro screen. And so it just broke. I did keep flying it for a long time after this. Like the back screen wouldn't work, but I could still use the app. And so, you know, I'd like enable preview and then just like record using the app and then just control it like that. But eventually, after about 1 or 2 months, it gave out. Like I crashed it too many times, or maybe I got water in it, I'm not really sure, but it gave out. And I had to buy a new GoPro. And this is where this whole thing goes downhill. So I bought what I thought would be the best camera for FPV, and that's a Hero 11 Mini. And I bought this camera on Marketplace secondhand. This will be important later. So off the drone, the camera was so good. All my boxes that I had for a camera were checked. It doesn't have a screen on the back, so you can't destroy it when you crash. It shoots in 10-bit colors, and it shoots in 4:3. And it's also just so sharp. Like, it's such a good camera. However, I used it for about a week, and while I was filming this like power slide video, it just stopped working. And when I mean stop working, I mean the screen just suddenly wouldn't turn on, no LEDs would show, it wouldn't charge. It actually just get really hot when you try to charge it. And to be clear, I didn't crash it. I just kind of landed it about 30 centimeters off the ground. I disarmed the drone, so it like fell from like 30 centimeters. And I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to expect an action camera to be able to take. So I was a little confused. So at this point, I was feeling pretty down because I just put a lot of money into buying this camera and then it stopped working. So I thought maybe it's under warranty and I can get a warranty claim. So I contacted the dude that sold it to me on Marketplace and I asked if he could send me the receipt for it. Now the warranty for a GoPro is 1 year. I contacted him on October 8th and it turns out that he bought it on October 10th the year before. So it had 2 days left of warranty on it. So I went to the local chain that deals with this stuff and I dropped it off to be assessed, and they told me it would be about 4 weeks till I get the GoPro back. But in the meantime, I still had to film videos and I already had all the accessories for the Mini 3, so I ended up buying another Mini 3 off Marketplace, and the same thing happened. Just a very slight bump and the whole thing just stopped working. And I was clearly the common variable in all these situations. So I was like, okay, I'm going to buy another GoPro, the same one, but I'm really going to take care of it. And I crashed it. And it stopped working in the exact same way. And it wasn't a bad crash. I was like flying and then I lost signal and then it kind of flipped over and then lands on the GoPro. And it was from about 1 meter height, but I mean, that's a lot of weight to like drop from 1 meter. So yeah, we lost the third GoPro. So I was like, oh my God, we need to just try something different then. So I bought a Hero 4K, which just came out at the time. And I was like, this one is a 2024 camera. Surely it's good. And it was a bit, like the form factor is really good. The weight is really good, but I mean, it has a screen on the back. It shoots in 8-bit and it doesn't shoot in 4:3. And the video is also not very good. So this is now my backup camera. So I was like, okay, we need to find the best action camera. And this began my journey of looking for an alternative to the Hero 11 Mini. So which camera did I find was actually the best? Well, let's start with Insta360. They're pretty good and they're really innovative, but for FPV, there's a few drawbacks, which is why I don't really use them. So if we look at the Go 3, this is almost the perfect FPV camera. It's the perfect form factor. It's super light. It doesn't have a screen on the back, but it has its drawbacks. It doesn't film an 8-bit, and it also seems to have a problem with stabilizing the tiny vibrations you get from the motors on a drone. So this is some footage that I shot a few weeks ago, and you can see it basically just turns this light pole into a spaghetti. So not the best. I haven't really found a way to get around this like vibration dampening for this. I suspect that maybe if you 3D print a mount for it in TPU, that'll help to absorb the vibrations, but I haven't really gotten around to that, and so I'm not entirely sure. The next Insta360 camera is the Ace Pro, and this one didn't have problem with vibrations, but this camera is, it's really not meant to be on a drone. Like, it is a big and bulky camera. It's got a huge screen on the back, it flips up. It's good off a drone, but on a drone it's just not meant to be there. And here's some sample footage of it here. You can see it's also 8-bit, so again, doesn't really tick any of the boxes that I'm looking for. Moving on to DJI, this is where I found a lot of promise for a new action camera. So this is the Action 2. So currently we're up to the Action 5, and this is a few generations back, and this thing is pretty damn good. Here's some sample footage here. On Marketplace, you can pick these up for about $250, $300, probably less even, and they shoot in 4:3, and the audio quality from these is really, really good. The one drawback is that it does have a screen on the back, but I think if you 3D print a mount for it, you can easily stop that from breaking. And the other drawback is that this films in 8-bit. But the thing with this one is that even though it's 8-bit, the colors look really good, and this camera is super sharp. Like, this is one of the better, cheaper cameras that I've used. By the way, all the sample footage from all these action cameras I'm putting in a link in the description so you can download it. So if you want to have a look at the footage yourself, you can see it there. Oh, by the way, this is also detachable. I don't think I mentioned that. So that's the part that you actually put onto the drone. So it's tiny, but it's so good. And the next camera is the one that I am currently using, and this one's really good. Now let's jump back to the GoPro story I was telling you about before. So after testing all these cameras out, I got a call and they're like, all right, we don't know what the problem is with your GoPro, but it's not working, so we're going to give you store credit instead. And with that store credit, I was able to get the Action 5, and this thing just came out a month ago or something like that, and the video quality on this is insane. It's so sharp. It's 10-bit. It handles vibrations well. It's got really good dynamic range. The only drawback is it does have a screen on the back, and it's also a full-sized action camera. So it's quite a bit heavier than what you want on a drone. But this is what I'm working with at the moment because I don't have any other options. I will say though, I have crashed it a few times. There's a few battle scars around the outside, but there has been no cracks with it. It's been completely fine. So, we've crashed it, but it's doing all right. So this is the camera I'm using at the moment. That kind of wraps up this video. GoPros are mad. The quality is mad, but the reliability is quite a big issue. So that's why I kind of get the hate behind GoPro right now.